My daughter banned me from vacation. My response shocked her instantly when my daughter looked me straight in the eye and said, "Mom, you're not coming with us. You just ruined the trip." I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. Instead, I smiled, nodded, and quietly walked away. She thought she had won. She had no idea that by the end of that same week, she'd be standing at my front door with tears in her eyes, begging for a second chance. My name is Evelyn Carter. I'm 58 years old, a retired accountant, and a widow of nearly 6 years. Everything I had, my time, my energy, my savings, and my love, had always gone to my only daughter, Rachel. After my husband passed away, I devoted myself entirely to helping her build the life she dreamed of. I babysat her children for free, paid for unexpected bills when money got tight, cooked meals every weekend, and even helped her and her husband buy their first home with most of my retirement savings. I never expected repayment. I only hoped that one day she'd remember who stood beside her when life was difficult. Instead, she forgot. The family vacation had been my idea months earlier. I suggested renting a beautiful beach house where all of us, my daughter, her husband, my 2 grandchildren, and I could finally spend quality time together. Rachel loved the idea. She even asked me to research locations. I compared prices, booked the perfect house, and paid the deposit myself. Then, just 2 weeks before the trip, everything changed. Rachel invited me over for coffee. She wouldn't look me in the eyes. Finally, she sighed, "Mom, we've been talking, and we think it would be better if you stayed home." I laughed nervously. "I don't understand." She folded her arms. "The kids want a fun vacation. You're always worrying about schedules, sunscreen, bedtime. You make everything stressful." Her husband stayed silent. That hurt even more. "I paid for the reservation," I whispered. Rachel shrugged. "We'll pay you back eventually." Eventually, not thank you, not I'm sorry, just eventually. For a moment, I felt something inside me break, then another feeling replaced it, clarity. I simply smiled. "No problem," I said. Rachel looked surprised. "Really? Of course." She hugged me quickly, relieved that I wasn't making a scene. As she drove away, I sat alone in my living room. I stared at the vacation confirmation email. The reservation, the payment, the booking, every single document was still in my name, and that's when I made one phone call. A phone call that would change everyone's vacation and teach my daughter a lesson she would never forget. Final ending: Rachel's phone calls started less than an hour after I canceled the reservation. The first call went unanswered. Then came another and another. By evening, I had more than 20 missed calls and a dozen frantic text messages. "Mom, please answer. The hotel says our reservation doesn't exist. The kids are crying. Please tell me this is a mistake." I calmly placed my phone on the kitchen table and continued drinking my tea. For the first time in years, I refused to rush in and solve a problem that someone else had created. 3 days later, there was a knock on my front door. When I opened it, Rachel stood there with red, swollen eyes. Behind her stood my son-in-law, Daniel, holding the children's hands. The moment my grandchildren saw me, they ran into my arms. "We missed you, Grandma." I hugged them tightly before looking back at Rachel. She couldn't even meet my eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I stayed silent. She took a shaky breath. "I've been selfish." Another silence. "I kept thinking you would always forgive me because you always have." Tears rolled down her face. "I never realized how much you've sacrificed for us until you stopped." Daniel finally spoke. "Mrs. Carter, I should have defended you that day. I didn't. I'm sorry." Those words meant more than either of them realized. I invited them inside, not because they deserved immediate forgiveness, but because bitterness wasn't the legacy I wanted to leave my grandchildren. We sat together for nearly 2 hours. For the first time in years, Rachel listened instead of talking. I told her how lonely I'd been after her father died, how proud I'd been every time I helped her family, and how deeply her words had wounded me. She cried harder with every sentence. Finally, she reached across the table. "I don't want money back. I don't want another vacation. I just want my mother." I looked at her for a long moment, then I gently took her hand. "You can have your mother back, but you'll never have the version of me who accepted disrespect just to keep the peace." She nodded immediately. "I understand." Over the next several months, things truly changed. Rachel stopped treating my kindness like an obligation. She called simply to ask how I was. She visited without asking for favors. She insisted on paying whenever we went out for lunch. When the family planned another vacation the following summer, Rachel surprised everyone. She handed me the itinerary. Across the top, in bold letters, it read, "Reserved for the entire family, especially Grandma." This time, she had paid for everything herself. As we walked along the beach with my grandchildren laughing beside us, Rachel slipped her arm through mine. "I'm proud to be your daughter," she said quietly. I smiled. "And I'm proud that you finally learned the difference between love and taking someone for granted." Life has a funny way of teaching lessons. Sometimes those lessons come through words, sometimes through silence. And sometimes the strongest response isn't revenge at all. It's simply refusing to let anyone, even your own family, forget your worth. Because the moment you start respecting yourself, the right people learn to respect you too. The end.